Black Panther made more money in its opening week than Justice League made in its entire run. Its opening weekend was the 15th largest of all time. Its first 24 hours of ticket pre-sales for the film were the largest ever for a Marvel film, surpassing Captain America Civil War. 2 weeks ahead of its release, Fandango announced that the film outsold all previous superhero films at the same point in the sales cycle, breaking the record previously held by Batman v Superman: Dawn of Migraines. It's at 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Chicago Sun-Times called the film one of the best superhero movies of the century. Which isn't too bad, given that it's got the same issues as every other Marvel film. Since they're trying to literally be the MCU's version of James Bond, they've brought over quite a few problems from there as well. First things first, this is the best Marvel film since Winter Soldier, in my opinion, and arguably the best Marvel film ever in many others. Say, people who didn't grow up on a diet of 70s political thrillers. The land of Wakanda is beautifully realised, with all of its people making a different and lasting impression. All the cast are acting, although some of them seem to be ever so slightly incredibly overacting, looking at you, Gollum. And I'm sure there's a joke about him and Martin Freeman being the Tolkien white guys in here somewhere, but I'm too classy to make it. Probably. Anyway, like I said, this film has all the issues of a Marvel film. A solid 2 acts, almost Shakespearean in its telling of how T'Challa, the king of Wakanda, rises to the throne in the isolated, technologically advanced African nation, but his claim is challenged by a vengeful outsider who was a childhood victim of T'Challa's father's mistake, thrown in with a fair old bit of globetrotting, and for once almost no world building. This is a film about Wakanda and nowhere else, which is to the film's advantage as it frees it from that mountain of baggage and plot threads that some people call the MCU. No need for prior knowledge or to have obsessively watched every Marvel show, including Inhumans and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You can just plug in and play. The action scenes are fast and well shot, even if I do have the issue that you could have removed half of them and the film would have flowed a little better without them. And the final one, which should have been a tour de force of practical effects a la Winter Soldier, turned into an unskippable cutscene that really made me think a bit more of the $200 million budget should have gone to the CGI. Or a hell of a lot less, because there was no reason not to have the practical effects budget a lot larger than it actually was. Another issue is T'Challa himself, in that I doubt he gets invited to many parties on the grounds that he's a bit dull. As in, he lives up to Fleming's maxim that he wanted Bond to be an extremely dull, uninteresting man to whom things happened. I get that he's the leader of a nation and he's having a rough few days, but even Nelson Mandela knew that every now and then you have to hang around with the Spice Girls. As is, he's come down with a nasty case of Dark Knight syndrome, as we call it in the film criticism business. Whereupon an incredibly dull but worthy hero is acted off the screen by an incredibly charismatic villain with a plan, a point, and most importantly of all, thinks he's in the right. And when he's played by the incredibly talented Michael B. Jordan, who has long since atoned for Fantastic Four, Chadwick Boseman can take the rest of the film off. Oh, and as for being the MCU's version of James Bond, there's quite a few of his issues brought along as well. Chekhov, in the shape of Shuri, played by Letitia Wright, has enough of his guns to run a small war, which after a time starts to rob the film of any tension or suspense. Also, I doubt Bond gets invited to many dinner parties either. Look, don't get the wrong idea here. This is a brilliant film. T'Challa is an amazing role model and it absolutely deserves most of the praise that it's getting, but this is no flawless masterpiece. Granted, I'm going to give it a higher rating than I probably will to Avengers Infinity War, but critics didn't go easy on either Blade film and I haven't done so here. I appreciate the cultural importance of this film and have donated to the GoFundMe to enable children of colour at the Boys and Girls Club in Harlem to see the film. And the reason that I've tried not to touch on the cultural, social and political impact that this film has and will continue to have is that, well, I'm a year-old white guy living in London and I'm just going to stick to talking about the damn good film that it is. It needs a few more practical effects, but what Marvel film doesn't? But all in all, I definitely think you should see it. But what do you guys think? And what has been the best comic book film you've seen in recent years? Comment below, let me know. I'm Daniel, it's been a dunking. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe.